Hello and welcome to BIO4YOU. Okay, in this video we're going to discuss two subchapters 2.6 and 2.7 all together because 2.6 is already very short and brief. Okay, so here is 2.6 human impact on the ecosystem and the biosphere. Okay, so we're going to look on the human impact on the ecosystem and the biosphere. Okay, so here are the learning outcomes. Alright, explain human impact on the ecosystem and the biosphere based on the following. Alright, based on the agricultural effects on nutrient cycling, combustion of fossil fuel, and global warming. Okay, so first we're going to look at the agricultural effects on nutrient cycling, iaitu apakah kesan pertanian atau pertanian secara meluas ni kepada nutrient cycling, iaitu kita dah tahu kan cycling of nutrient tu perlu berlaku dengan sihat lah. Okay, so with the increase of population also we need a higher amount of food, okay, because as our population increases we need more land and to grow crops and food to feed the people. So what happen is that it also may leads to the deforestation, i.e. from we having a forest we're going to cut down all the trees to make able more space for planting crops, nak tanam tumbuh-tumbuhan. So pokok hutan-hutan ni ada yang tebang lah. Okay, so what is the effect of this activity? Okay, first and foremost is that when we plant a vast majority of crop in one piece of land, maknanya bila kita tanam tumbuhan pertanian ni, contoh crops ni adalah seperti jagung ataupun gandum dan sebagainya. So bila kita tanam dengan meluas dekat satu kawasan tu, it creates a problem actually. What is the problem? This plant, they will use the same nutrient consistently and will deprive the nutrient in the soil. Maksudnya, kalau kata kita tanam, contoh kita tanam jagung. Okay, so jagung tu katalah dia menggunakan tinggi fosforus, dia akan absorb banyak fosforus. So you can start to imagine what will happen to the soil. So soil itu, tanah tersebut dekat kawasan itu akan mengalami kekurangan fosforus. So itulah maksud dia akan ada efek kepada nutrient cycling. Sepatutnya kalau sebelum tu dekat kawasan situ adalah hutan, so bila hutan ni ada pelbagai jenis pokok, high in diversity of plants. So bila kita diversity of plant tu, pelbagai jenis pokok tu, some pokok ni gunakan high phosphorus and some other pokok return many phosphorus to the land. So itu, there's a healthy cycling. But when we turn into agriculture, a vast agriculture, maksud agriculture yang besar, dia akan menyebabkan masalah yang saya baru sebutkan tadi itulah, yang mana same nutrient consistently will be deprived, maknanya kekurangan. Okay, next effect dia pula adalah, okay, use of artificial fertilizer will lead to other problems such as eutrophication and algal bloom. Ni kau dah belajar masa dekat sekolah menengah. So because we realize when we use this artificial fertilizer, we use this baja ammonia semua ni, some of the fertilizer will leach into the lakes the nearby or to the river nearby. So this will lead to eutrophication, yang ni mana tasik jadi hijau apa semua tu, and then sungai pun jadi hijau. Okay, so that is not a good thing. So that is what is the agricultural effects on nutrient cycling, mana kitaran nutrient itu terbantut. Okay, and another thing is that we can look onto the deforestation. So here are the effects of deforestation. Very few trees offering protection for the soil, few leaves drop as litter, because when leaves drops as litter is also an important activity whereby we know when the leaf falls onto the soil, it can be decomposed, so it will return the carbon and other nutrients back to the soil. Okay, so that's what we say here. Less nutrient-rich soil is produced, very little humus. Okay, rapid loss of nutrients by leaching, okay, results in acidic soil and change in the composition, i.e. the mineral content and pH of the soil, and makes the soil become infertile, and infertile soil will result in very little vegetative growth and very few trees could grow on the soil. So that is the effect. So here are the elaboration effects of deforestation. So deforestation adversely affects, bukan effects, affects and damages the environment. Okay, the adverse effect of deforestation are discussed as below. First, soil erosion, iaitu tanah terhakis lah. Macam kita pun dah tahu, tanah terhakis, tanah runtuh, semua tu. And expansion of desert. Okay, bukan desert. Desert tu sedap lah. Expansion of desert. Because of due to the strong winds laden by rock, dust, landmass gradually gets converted in atmosphere. Maksudnya kat sini bila ada deforestation ni tadi menyebabkan tak ada rintangan kepada angin. So angin akan menjadi bukan menjadi kuat, maknanya strong winds tu tak ada siapa yang halang dia. So maknanya akan menyebabkan lagi susah lah untuk biji benih untuk yang baru hinggap dekat atas tanah tu untuk tumbuh. So akan boleh menyebabkan desert, expansion of desert. Again, bukannya desert. Next, combustion of fossil fuel. Okay, environmental effect dia, the fossil fuels can cause air pollution, climate change and effect on the carbon cycle. Maksudnya terlalu banyak zat carbon yang di-return to the atmosphere. CO2 is released when burning fossil fuels. Contohnya macam petroleum, diesel. Itulah contoh yang saya kan, which is linked to an increase in temperature. Okay, release of also sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides from the burning of oil and coal, arang, contribute to smoke and acid rain. Smoke ni adalah smoke campur fog. Maknanya asap yang berkabus gitu. And also acid rain. Kita pun dah tahu lah kesan acid rain, dia akan corrode metal, dia akan corrode building, buatkan building nampak buruk dan sebagainya. Combustion of gasoline, okay, releases ozone, iaitu gas ozone, and it also can cause eye and lung irritant. Okay, also dia boleh menyebabkan carcinogen, bahan menyebabkan cancer and parts of smoke, iaitu smoke dan fog tadi. Next, global warming. Okay, so greenhouse effect and global warming ni selalu diperhatikan. Kita tengok kat gambar polar bear ni lah, kesian dia nak berenang, tak tahu nak berenang dekat mana kan. Bukan berenang kan, dia berenang kat air lah. Tak ada tempat untuk dia tinggal. Okay, so global warming ni, okay, kenapa dipanggil sebagai global warming? Maknanya secara globally dunia kita ni suhunya semakin panas. Okay, global gross primary production and respiration, yakni changing of land use, ini maknanya contribute kepada atmosphere lah, untuk repair balik atmosphere. Maksud saya repair balik atmosphere tu, pokok-pokok ni akan repair balik atmosphere. But however, fossil fuel combustion and industrial processes, termasuklah vehicles, penggunaan kenderaan semua tu kan, dia akan ada kesan yang buruk kepada atmosfer yang menyebabkan dunia ni semakin panas. Itulah global warming. So bila global warming, ais dekat kutub utara, kutub selatan semakin cair. Okay, so here are the causes and effects of climate change. Okay, so causes dia disebabkan rapid industrialization, industry, energy use, agricultural practices, macam saya dah sebutkan tadi, deforestation, okay, consumer practices, maknanya penggunaan oleh kita kan sebagai pengguna livestock, iaitu livestock ni ternakan, transport, pengangkutan, resource extraction and juga pencemaran. Okay, ni adalah efek dia. Ini adalah causes dia. Effects dia, rising in temperatures, rising in sea level, sebab itulah aras laut akan makin naik, unpredictable weather patterns, okay, increase in extreme weather events, land degradation, maknanya makin kurang tanah, loss of wildlife and biodiversity. Okay, so what are the social impacts of climate change? Dia akan displace people, mana people, orang kata sisih, poverty, yang makin miskin tengah miskin, loss of livelihood, hunger, malnutrition, increase of risk of diseases, and global food and water shortages. So sekarang pun kita dah mula mengalami bahang kekurangan makanan tu. Okay, so that is all just now for 2.6. Now, just a cakap short and simple. Now we're going to look at 2.7, a slightly totally new different subchapter. Okay, now we are going to study about population ecology. So pada awal tu kita study pasal ecology, about the environment, biotic, abiotic components, the biogeochemical cycles and etc. Now we're going to look at population ecology. Macam mana kita nak ukur, bukan macam nak ukur, how we're going to study about the populasi ekologi ni tadi, makin meningkat ke, apa menyebabkan makin meningkat dan sebagainya. Okay. So here are the learning outcomes. Here adalah benda yang awak yang you guys kena study lah, kena belajar. Okay, describe population ecology, describe population growth, describe natality and mortality. Okay, natality ni adalah kelahiran, and mortality adalah kematian, and their effects on the rate of population growth. Okay, and state the basic forms of growth curves. Ada dua jenis sahaja, which are exponential growth curve as represented by the human, and also logistic growth curve represented by example by Paramecium sp. This is a microorganism. Okay, by definition, what is population ecology? It is the study of populations. Maksudnya kita sedang mengkaji populasi in relation to their environment, yang berkaitan dengan environment saja. Bukan kita hanya study populasi hanya kira plus minus saja. Kalau plus minus saja, kita tak panggil population ecology, itu kita panggil sebagai mathematics. Okay, so population ecology means kita belajar kaitan, relation to their environment, persekitaran dia. Okay, this will include their environmental influences on population density and distribution. Maknanya dengan kepadatan penduduk dia dan taburan populasi. Okay, age structure and variations in population size, maknanya kepelbagaian dari segi size populasi tersebut. So that is population ecology all in summary. Okay, so what it is population size and what it is called as population size. Okay, population size ni depends bahasa Melayu apa? Bergantung kepada of course kelahiran, okay, dan immigration. Okay, so bila kita cakap pasal population size, kita akan study dekat satu tempat, dekat satu environment, dekat satu ekosistem tu. So dekat situ apakah size populasinya? So apa yang boleh menyebabkan saiz populasi itu? Of course adalah kadar kelahiran. Bila lagi banyak kelahiran, makin banyaklah populasi itu dekat situ. Immigration. Okay, immigration dengan emigration jangan confuse. Immigration maksud in, masuk, datang. Emigration, exit, keluar daripada kawasan tersebut. So these green arrows pointing to the population size shows that birth and immigration will increase the population size, akan menambahkan saiz populasi. Logik lah, kadar kelahiran dan juga kadar kemasukan new organism, new species ni akan menambahkan populasi. Manakala death, iaitu kematian disebabkan prey-predator relationship ataupun disebabkan memang disease dan sebagainya, dan juga emigration will decrease the population size. Okay. Next, population growth. Okay, by definition, the increase or decrease in total number of individuals or population size in a population. Okay, panjang ayat masalah ni. Pendeknya macam ni. Pertambahan atau pengurangan total number of individu dekat kawasan itu. Individu populasi itulah. Okay, ataupun population size in a population. Okay. Affecting factors ni saya dah sebutkan tadilah. Ini belum sebut lagi, sorry. Biotic potential. Apa itu biotic potential? Kita akan tengok sekejap lagi. Environmental resistance, carrying capacity, and natality and mortality. Ini saya dah sebut tadi, kelahiran dan kematian. So ini adalah faktor yang menyebabkan yang determines the population growth, iaitu kadar pertumbuhan populasi tersebut. Okay, biotic potential. What is biotic potential? Biotic potential bears the symbol R. R kecil dia ada simbol tu. Okay, so biotic potential is the rate, kadar at which a population of a given species, kita study satu spesies saja, increases when no limits are placed on its rate of growth. Maksudnya biotic potential ni, apakah potensi biotik bagi sesuatu spesies itu bila given that tak ada limits ataupun tak ada limitation pada kadar pertumbuhan dia. Okey, saya bagi contoh yang lebih mudah. Contohnya lah, kadar kelahiran, kata seekor kucing boleh lahirkan 2 ekor anak dalam masa setahun. Okey, so populasi kucing itu, biotic potential of kucing tu tadi adalah 2. Itulah populasi dia. Sebab kata rate. Bila kata rate, mesti ada number over time. So setahun ada 2. So kalau, tapi kita tak ukur macam tu, itu bukan biotic potential. Biotic potential ni adalah kitaran dia seluruh hidup dia. Katalah kucing tu seumur hidup dia boleh hasilkan 10 anak, so potential dia adalah 10. Mana boleh tambahkan 10 anak. Contoh dia macam tu. Okey. Next, environmental resistance. Okay, don't worry much. Nanti later when we see, we study a graph, you will understand better about these terms. Okay. Environmental resistance ni, environmental dia persekitaran. Resistance ni adalah halangan. Apakah halangan persekitaran? Okay. It is the sum total of the factors that prevent, yang menghalang populasi daripada continually growing, maknanya terus membiak dengan lebih banyak, and therefore tend to keep populations at constant levels. Maksudnya dia akan menyebabkan populasi tu hanya maintain dekat jumlah yang itu saja, dekat constant level. Okey. Contoh-contoh environmental resistance are predation, iaitu pemangsa, disease, penyakit, food, makanan, shelter, water and light. So ini adalah contoh-contoh environmental resistance. Okey. Next, carrying capacity. Okey, apakah carrying capacity? It is the maximum number of individuals of a species that can be supported in a system or environment. Maksud dia macam ni. Katakanlah saya ada, katakan dalam in a classroom, a size of a normal classroom. What is the carrying capacity of that classroom? Maksudnya apakah carrying capacity of classroom itu? Kalau saya bela kucing. Okay, let's say saya bela kucing, saya start dengan 2 ekor lah, 1 jantan, 1 betina. Dalam masa setahun dah jadi 8 ekor kucing, termasuklah dengan anak-anak dia. Lama kelamaan, this population of cat ni will keeps on grow. Bila keeps on grow, sampailah ke atas, sampai 100 ekor kucing. Size of satu classroom ni, you rasa after several times akan terus meningkat sampai jadi 2,000, 3,000 kucing ke? Jawapan dia of course not. Why? Because there will be casualties where the kitten, the adult cat akan mati sebab tak cukup makanan, tak cukup shelter, tak cukup ruang, tak cukup saya nak kata space, habitat, food and also disease. Bila banyak-banyak populasi, bila populasi tu berkumpul dengan banyak, dia akan create disease. Sebab apa disease? Ada waste and ada waste tu lah, ada najis tu. Okay. So what this tells you is that the classroom, now let's say lah maximum ni dia boleh support 100 ekor kucing sahaja. So the carrying capacity of that classroom is 100 cat. Maksudnya dia hanya boleh support 100 cat only. And what is the environmental resistance towards that cat? Tadi tu disease, food, shelter, light, water dan sebagainya. So itu adalah environmental resistance. Apakah biotic potential? Biotic potential, kucing tu boleh keep on growing selagi mana kalau tidak ada halangan, tidak ada resistance. Look at this graph. Okay, so this graph is very easy to tell you what happens. So we see this label here. Okay, this is over time. As the time goes pass by, we can study this growth of population, and here is the population size. So when we start with, when we begins with small number of species ni, small number of organisms ni, from time to time, the number of the organism, the number of population will keep on grow, will continue to grow, given that the fully supported by the biotic potential. Maknanya potensi biotic population tu akan terus support, menambah lagi populasi. until at one point where you can see this red arrow over here, as we label it as environmental resistance, iaitu sekatan environment tu lah pada dia. So what is the environmental resistance? Kalau in the example of cat just now, that is being the size of the classroom, iaitu size of the of bilik itulah. On top of that, shortage of food. Katakanlah saya bela kucing tu sehari saya hanya bagi 5 mangkuk makanan sahaja. So tak mungkinlah 5 mangkuk makanan tu boleh support sampai 300-400 cats. So paling maksimum macam saya cakap lah 100 cats lah perhaps is going to be a big bowl anyway. Okay, so that is the environmental resistance, and given that pula pengurusan najis dia apa semua, so itu akan menyebabkan populasi tu being hindered. Hindered tu maksudnya being levels of, sama je, hindered tu maksudnya terhalang lah tadi. Okay, so this line here, this orange line here tells you that is the carrying capacity with the symbol K, capital letter K. So the carrying capacity determined by the environmental resistance. I mean after the effect of environmental resistance. So again, the carrying capacity here, let's say kalau saya buat sini, jawapannya adalah 100 in the story of my cat just now. Okay. So as you can see, as the population keep on grow, okay, and then it grows, dia turun bawah balik. Kenapa turun bawah balik? Okay, sebab berlaku kematian, and then they grow balik di atas balik pada carrying capacity, lepas tu dia akan turun balik. Kenapa turun balik? Sebab the environmental no longer can support the increasing population. Gitu. Okay, natality. Natality is the rate at which individuals produce offsprings. Okay, anak dia. Alright, at the average per capita birth rate. Maksudnya kadar kelahiran lah, natality. It is influenced by several factors such as average fertility, iaitu kadar kesuburan dia, the sex ratio jantan betina, okay, bukannya seks tu perbuatan tu, and proportion of the reproductive females in the population. Maksudnya walaupun populasi itu banyak, tapi kalau banyak kittens, anak yang kecil, dia belum lagi capai umur maturity kan. So itulah reproductive females in the population. Mortality is the rate at which individuals die. The average per capita death rate, maknanya kadar kematian pada kawasan itu, pada di tempat itulah. It is the result of several factors such as aging, iaitu penuaan, accidents, bila berlaku casualties, natural enemies. So bila ada banyak-banyak kucing kat situ, dia akan invite predators untuk datang, seperti helang ke, ular ke, okay, and also disease. Alright, cannibalism, makan sesama sendiri, and shortage of food. Okay, so that is mortality. So effects of natality and mortality on population growth, macam saya dah cakap yang awal tadi, kalau kadar kelahiran tu lebih tinggi daripada kadar kematian, of course the population size will increase, logik lah. If kadar kelahiran tu lebih sedikit daripada kadar kematian, lebih banyak yang mati, the population size will decrease. Okay, rate of population growth depends on the ratio between the birth rate and the mortality rate. Saya pun dah sebutkan tadi, natality and mortality, kadar kelahiran dan kadar kematian, as well as immigration and emigration can help to stabilize the population size. Okay, in order for a population to become stable in size, kadar kelahiran dan immigration yang masuk mestilah sama dengan kadar kematian dan kadar migrate yang keluar daripada kawasan tersebut, barulah population size dekat situ become stable. Okay. So now we're going to look at population growth curves. Okay, growth curves ni ialah lekuk kadar pertumbuhan. So dia ada dua sahaja, sama ada exponential growth curve ataupun logistic growth curve. Exponential growth curve ni dia berbentuk J macam ni. Kalau logistic growth curve ni dia berbentuk macam huruf S macam ni. Gitu. Okay, exponential growth curve. Okay, exponential population growth determined by accelerating, iaitu kadar pecutan population growth, memecut saja. Okay, growth that occurs when optimal conditions allow a constant per capita growth rate. Maksudnya optimal conditions ni tidak ada halangan langsung, kau terus saja keep on, you keep on terus saja increase in population. Okay, the population tends to increase slowly at first, mula-mula slow, and then grows increasingly rapidly as time increases. Semakin lama semakin cepat kadar pertumbuhan dia. Sebab apa? Contohnya adalah human population growth. Let's say lah we start with Adam and Eve, Nabi Adam dan Nabi Hawa. Nabi Adam dan Hawa. So, bila start dengan 2, later menjadi makin banyak, and towards nowadays kadar kelahiran tu sangatlah tinggi. So that's why human population growth is regarded as having exponential growth curve. Macam ini growth curve-nya. So from over time dia akan keep on increasing, because human, we know, we learn how to overcome our problem in terms of we can eliminate the factors of environmental resistance tu tadi. If tak cukup makanan, kita grow crops, kita increase our livestock, kita increase penternakan dan sebagainya. Tak cukup rumah, tak cukup tanah untuk buat rumah, kita buat rumah apartmen, kita buat rumah kondo, kita bina menara tinggi-tinggi. Okay, so kalau haiwan dia tak boleh buat macam tu. Okay, saya belum pernah nampak lagi lah haiwan buat rumah apartmen, saya belum pernah nampak lagi. Okay, so this is the live data, this is data showing the human growth curve. Okay, the size of population that is growing exponentially increases at constant rate, resulting in J-shaped growth curve. So ini adalah we can see from this timeline 8000 BCE, pada zaman lama-lama sampailah current waktu ni kan. Pada tahun 1000 something, belum cecah lagi 1 bilion pun, sampai tiba-tiba dah nak sampai tahun menghampiri tahun 2000 something baru dah nak capai 1 bilion populasi manusia, and between 2000 sekarang baru 2022 2021 macam tu kan, dah nak sampai kepada 7 bilion, bukan nak sampai, dia is reaching 7 billion populations macam tu. Okay, next we're going to leave that one aside. Now kita nak tengok pula logistic growth curve. So what is logistic growth curve? Yang bentuk S curve tu tadi. Logistic population growth is the population growth that levels off as population size approaches its carrying capacity. Maksud levels off ni, dia akan mula menatap bila maksimum macam bentuk macam J tu, lepas tu tiba dia akan levels off. Mana dia akan menjadi mendatar sahaja bila dah approach carrying capacity of that environment. Contohnya adalah Paramecium sp, dan banyak jugalah organism lain, mikroorganism lain, dan juga haiwan-haiwan lain. Okay. Generally, logistic growth curve ni can be divided into 4 phases. Okay, the lag phase, lagging, slow, log phase ataupun exponential phase, yang ni adalah paling cepat. Lepas tu decelerating, slowing down, and then last but not least is stationary or equilibrium phase. So what are we going to have, or what we going to study at the lag phase ni, first phase yang awal ni? The growth rate is very slow. The organism is adapting to the new environment. So this is the main keyword. Organism tu dia sedang adapt kepada persekitaran dia. And the population size pada kita tu masih lagi small. And the rate of reproduction is slow. Maknanya kadar reproduction ni adalah slow. Sebab organism tu sikit je jumlahnya. So dia akan start with slow. Next, the exponential or log phase. The organism are able to adapt to new environment. Tadi tu yang merah ni dia baru nak learn to adapt. Now dia sudah adapt and adapt well to the environment. And there is also abundance of food and space, given that dia anggap sebagai unlimited resources. Maksudnya dia dah pandai cari makan, dah tahu nak cari makan dekat mana, dah tahu nak cari sumber air dekat mana, cari perlindungan dekat mana, semua itu sekali. Okay, so that's why we have the growth rate increase very rapidly over here. This phase B. Okay. Next we look at a decelerating phase. Decelerating phase ni bukan nak kata tak ada pertumbuhan, ada. Tapi dia disebabkan increase in competition for limited resources. Apakah limiting resources ni? Contohnya adalah seperti food, and the growth rate becomes constant. Kadar pertumbuhan tu become constant. Jadi saya akan explain this one. Increased mortality and reproduction failures. Maknanya banyaklah yang reproduction failures, yang tak berlaku persenyawaan itu tadi, dan kadar kematiannya tinggi. Okey, katakanlah saya cakap macam ni. Sebelum tu tadi saya ada kata ni accelerating. Dekat log phase ini pertumbuhan dia accelerating phase. Accelerating maksud dia pecut. Decelerating maknanya kurang memecut. Apa maksud pecut tak pecut ni tadi? Saya ambil contoh macam ni. Katalah dekat sini, dekat semasa log phase ni, dekat exponential phase ni tadi, kadar kelahirannya adalah 10 individu sebulan. So kan 10 daripada dia keep on accelerate, semakin memecut. Mana 10 sebulan, and then menjadi 20 individu sebulan, menjadi 30 individu sebulan, kadar itu semakin cepat. Sampailah satu masa bila sampai dekat sini decelerating, dia masih lagi berlaku pertumbuhan, populasi itu bertambah, tetapi daripada katalah 50 individu sebulan tu tadi sekarang jadi 40 individu sebulan, 30 individu sebulan, dah slow down dah. Dari 20 individu tapi masih lagi bertambah. Dia tak kata berkurang kan? Tidak. Jadi 10 individu sebulan, contohnya macam tu. Okey, increase mortality maknanya walaupun berlaku kematian tapi masih lagi ada berlaku pertambahan. Okey, kenapa graf ni keep on masih bertambah walaupun percutan tu dah makin kurang? Mungkin kalau confuse. Jangan confuse sebab ini adalah jumlah individu yang ada dekat kawasan tersebut. So selagi individu itu bertambah, makin banyaklah populasi dekat kawasan itu. And last but not least is the stationary phase. Okay, stationary phase ni is the population when the population is stable. Kadar kelahiran dan kadar kematiannya adalah sama. Katakanlah hari ini dalam sebulan mati 10 ekor, kelahiran juga adalah 10 ekor. Sama sahaja. Population is at carrying capacity of environment. Maknanya dekat kadar yang sama, kadar carrying capacity dia lah. Okay, so harap you guys dah faham lah all the phases ni tadi, the 4 phases as being presented by this paramecium SP. Okay, population ni growth in the lab, so dia akan keep on bertambah dengan cepat, and then bertambah tapi slowly, and then dia keep on sama saja. So the carrying capacity for this paramecium SP at this environment is around 900. So that is the carrying capacity. Alright. Okay, so that will be all for this 2.6 and 2.7, and that also marks the end of this chapter for chapter ecology. So alright, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I hope it benefits you the most. Again, please do subscribe this video and drop a like and share it with your friends. Hopes that we can spread the information amongst your friends. Okay, that will be all until now. Thank you and bye bye.